From the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, we bring you the Gimme Three podcast. Welcome, cinephiles, cinema lovers, movie appreciators, friends, and family, to the Gimme Three podcast, a series for cinephiles, the show where we pick three films based off of one theme. I'm Nicholas Ibarra, and I'm joined as always by my fabulous co-host, Bella F. Stratus. What do they say previously on the Gimme Three podcast? Previously, we began our week-long celebration of Mother's Day in our Great Mother Characters episode. And Bella, you picked Room and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I picked A Woman Under the Influence because I'm a sick bastard. Today, we're going to continue our discussion of great mothers characters, or great mother characters, rather. So here we go. We've got Gimme Three more great mother characters. And I'm starting us off here with, I don't know, is this I think it's a comedy, it's a drama, it's a little bit of everything. It's called Claudine. It's directed by John Barry. It's written by Tina Pine and Lester Pine. And it stars Diahann Carroll and James Earl Jones and one of my all-time favorite actors, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. You may recognize Lawrence Hilton Jacobs as Joe Jackson from the made-for-TV movie, The Jacksons, The American Dream. But this movie came out in 1974, which is actually the same year as A Woman Under the Influence. And in fact, both Diahann Carroll and Gena Rowlands were both nominated for Academy Awards for in the same category this year.
Oh, wow. Jeez. How do you choose between those two?
Well, if you ask the Academy, they didn't choose either one. They chose Ellen Bernstein for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. So,
Well, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, that's also a great. 1974 was a damn good year for cinema. Godfather 2 came out that year. Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. That was a great year. I think Chinatown, maybe. Yeah, fucking A.
Oh wow. Yeah, jeez.
Anywho, Claudine is about Claudine, and she is a lot of similarities, actually, I would say, between old Claudine and Everything Everywhere All at Once. A 36-year-old black woman living in New York City. She is a single mother of 6, count them, 6 kids, from their late teens to very young, around 5, 6. Different ages, different personalities, different attitudes, these kids. And every day, Claudine's got to take this long-ass bus ride to the nice part of town where she works as a maid for the rich folk. And she has to get paid under the table so that way she can keep her welfare because she's got, again, 6, count them, 6 children. But naturally, she is in a constant state of stress, a constant state of survival mode. Her friends on the bus suggest that what she's missing in her life is her cereal, her vitamin F, as they say. Now, my ass may be dumb, but I ain't no dumbass, and I think the F stands for fucking. Enter Rupert, played by James Earl Jones, a sanitation worker. But it's the 70s, so they just call him a garbage man. And Rupert, this garbage man, courts Claudine, and after some back and forth, she agrees to go on one date with him, and one date turns to 2, and 2 dates becomes even more than that, and Claudine has to navigate the risks and rewards with bringing a new man into her and her children's lives. And it's real, and it's raw, and it's funny, and it has an absolutely banging soundtrack. my bold statement of the day. Best soundtrack of all the films we're discussing today is this film right here, Claudine. Gladys Knight and the Pips do several original songs, and the score is by the great, legendary Curtis Mayfield. So, Bella, I'd like to get your initial thoughts on Claudine.
Yeah, Claudine was this is such a like just it for me this is like a perfect daytime movie.
Yeah.
Like good vibes, you get some drama in there, a lot of really humorous moments, which was a lot of fun. And the acting is just incredible. Like her kids are so cute in this film, and it feels so real too, like their connection to each other. The acting for the kids is amazing as well, and you feel so much for Claudine, who's up to her ears 24/7, and she like never has a minute to think or breathe. And it's wonderful to see Rupert kind of bring some peace and some fun into her life. But then it's like equally infuriating when all of that kind of blows up, when his like responsibilities kind of send him over the edge.
Yeah. I like, I wanted to pick this movie because I wanted to talk about a movie about mother and kids in the hood, because it's just like if you grow up in the hood, you just have like a different perspective growing up. You have a little bit more sense of reality, like the kids are 5 or 6 and they know the score. They know they're on welfare. They know they have to do X and Y and Z. And they also are not, they're children. So they play games like trying to be invisible, and they like to color and stuff like that. But they also are like, she doesn't have time to like sugarcoat shit. So they like know the score. I like when her kids are like, this part was wild, where they're like, Mama, you're 36. You're too old to be going out there and getting laid.
What time did you get home?
4:00 in the morning with chicken on her breast.
You gonna marry the garbage man, Mama?
Oh, Patrice, I went out with a man one time.
What do you do with the garbage man till 4:00 in the morning?
I hope you don't marry me.
And why not? Because we got enough kids around here. You ain't gotta be married to have a baby, stupid. I know it's stupid. The man puts his penis in the woman's vagina. Not in mommy's. What you hit me for, you son of a bitch? It's a dirty
Him and take that hat off in the house.
Did you make it with him?
Charles, that's none of your business.
It is our business. One thing we don't need around here is another nigga.
It's disgusting anyway. A woman her age.
I'm 36.
It's 9 times what?
It's 36 and it ain't old.
It's too old to be messing around.
Oh.
And it's like, Jesus Christ. Nowadays, 36 is when most people are even starting to think about having kids. It shows you how the times have changed.
Yeah. No, it's so true. There's so many funny moments. Even like when she's about to go on the date. I think her oldest daughter is like, don't come back pregnant.
Yeah, right. But the film, it's I guess you would call it a romantic comedy, kind of.
I think so. Honestly, yeah. I was honestly like surprised how much it kind of leaned into that genre. So yeah, I would say so.
But in addition to that, it also has a lot of social commentary on the system and how difficult the system makes it for people to pull themselves out of welfare. You collect welfare and you can't work because if you make a certain amount of money, then you're going to get off welfare. And you see all these systems at work, and you consider the system when you're trying to incorporate these very real, important, life-altering decisions in life. Like, am I allowed to be in love with this person? Is bringing a partner, a love partner into my life, gonna end up ruining both of our lives?
The kids are beginning to think I'm crazy. You come in and bingo, I go out.
You're just a great woman, that's all. You just putting out for him all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm putting out. You're right. You got that right. I'm always putting out. I really don't want the kids to know, but I'm tired. Honey, come on.
Damn. Appalling a married woman.
Yes, you got that right. Because I am married. I'm married to the welfare man. That's my husband. Makes me beg for them pennies. Starvation money. If I can't feed my kids, this child neglect. Go out and get myself a little job on the side. I don't tell him. And I'm cheating. If I stay at home, then I'm lazy. You can't win. Mr. Welfare, that is the nosiest husband in the world. Oof. Mr. Welfare.
You don't really see a lot of rom-coms tackle that kind of subject matter.
Real world issues. Yeah. No, totally. I was really kind of blown away to see how much social commentary there was in this film, just because it's so lighthearted at the same time.
Right.
But it was really cool to see how it almost like took these really negative stereotypes and like flipped them to be like, look how fucking ridiculous this is. Like this is a failing system.
Right.
And you know, just going into all of that stuff, I think this film did a really great job of highlighting those issues, but also like keeping kind of a thin line of like humor throughout all of it, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I love the scene where Claudine is talking with her oldest son, Charles, my man, Lawrence Hill Jacobs, on the stoop. And they're just talking about real world stuff. And he's like,
I knew that nigga was gonna walk out on you. I knew that. It was your own damn fault. That's right. Don't blame nobody but yourself. You had the 6 kids.
That's right. 6 kids. That's right. That's all I got in this world, my children.
I hate them.
Get away from me, Charles.
I mean, I knew I had nothing, but I have to share what I ain't got.
My son, the Black Revolutionary. You ain't nothing but a snot-nosed coward. That's all you are.
Yeah, that's right. Ain't that what you want me to be, Mama? Why do you think Francis the way he is? He's being exactly what you always wanted him to be. Invisible.
You're a damn crybaby.
I don't know why you killed me when I was born.
Oh, you talk crazier every day.
I mean, if you love me, you'd have killed me. Like the women back on those plantations. They killed the kids so wouldn't have to be slaves.
I guess I didn't love my children, right? Because I wanted them to live.
Yeah. So you told us to be afraid, right?
You better be afraid. You better be afraid. That world out there will kill you.
I mean, how can frightened people change anything?
There ain't no other kind of people, Charles. I'm scared all the time, but I do my job. If you ain't scared, you don't have no need for guts.
I just love that scene because both of the performances are great, but it's just like that's the kind of mother-son relationship I just love seeing on screen because it's just so real. And again, she doesn't have time to sugarcoat shit. She's just like, no, this is it, bro. You want to die?
Yeah, she's like, sorry I didn't fucking kill you because I love you.
Right, yeah.
Like, she's just like, what are you talking about right now? And I think that's also like so relatable for like just his age. Like he's kind of like starting to, I mean, like you said, he's understood the world from a very young age. That's just how all her kids were raised. And that's like how she's always been honest with them.
Yeah.
But I feel like him being the oldest, it's like really starting to sink in.
Yeah.
And he's feeling all the like frustrations of that. And they're all 100% valid. But then like the way he takes it out on his mother is definitely very specific to like him still being a kid, even though he's like entering adulthood, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like not seeing, he's kind of just like got tunnel vision on like, here's all the fucked up shit we're having to go through and not totally seeing what she's done to like make things better for him, you know?
Absolutely.
So, I love her response in that. I think, God, her performance is incredible.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is like, so Diahann Carroll I think she started like on Broadway or she
wow,
started
that's
doing
super cool.
plays, and she was on Broadway. She was like nominated for some. I think she might have been the first Black woman to be nominated for a Tony Award for like Best Actress in a Musical or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of
That's awesome.
the Black community was critical of Diahann Carroll for a lot of her career, especially early in her career, just because she, in their mind, and understandably so, she wasn't making a lot of films that portrayed, their experience, but she was portraying Black people's experience. It just, wasn't,
maybe through like the Hollywood lens.
Exactly. It's a lot of the same kind of criticism that Sidney Poitier got early on in his career. And
I see.
And it's like at this time in the 60s and 70s when, we were in the middle of the civil rights movement and coming out of the civil rights movement, these actors had to kind of like win over the white audience before they could make a film like this, and then show you like
that did cross my mind when I was thinking about, or when I was watching this movie. It's just like these were the kind of role. There were so many like specific types of roles offered to Black people during that time, or just any person of color really at that time. And so it's really cool to see this type of movie for that time period as well.
So it's worth checking out. It's a fascinating, heartwarming, I would say great movie. It's called Claudine. There's a great Criterion Collection edition of it available. It is, believe it or not available to stream anywhere, not even on demand. So you could try and find it at your local video store. Again, I say it's great Criterion edition on Blu-ray out there. But if you want to watch it right now, because we've just gotten you so jazzed about it and you want to hear this Gladys Knight and the Pips soundtrack, it is available. There's a high def version available on YouTube. That's pretty damn good. That's kind of where I watched it all. I'm not going to lie.
Me too. Like, where the hell is this movie?
Yeah. There's a 1080 version on YouTube. So I recommend checking it out. Claudine. My friends, we are going to take a quick break. During that break, you can call your mothers. Hopefully you already did, because we're the day after Mother's Day. So hopefully this episode isn't a reminder for you. But if you haven't, during that break, call your mothers, for God's sake. Also during that break, you're going to hear from PGA producer, Gimme Three producer, and my wife, Sonja Mereu, for Sonja's Movie Minute. More to come here on the Gimme Three podcast.
Hello, I'm Sonja, and this is my Movie Minute. In college, I majored in women's studies and film, which meant I got to take a lot of great classes like experimental film, queer cinema, and Italian Americans in film. One of the most memorable is a feminist film theory class called Mothers and Daughters. I think the professor must have had a pretty fraught relationship with her own mom, because this was a collection of some seriously troubled and complex mothers and daughters. Some of the highlights were Now Voyager, starring Bette Davis, Mildred Pierce, starring Joan Crawford, a movie about Joan, and probably the epitome of a fucked up mother and daughter relationship, Mommy Dearest, starring Faye Dunaway.
No more hangers!
Apparently, nobody hates wire hangers more than Joan Crawford. And the one that ended up being my favorite, The Piano Teacher by Michael Haneke, starring Isabelle Huppert. A film so dark that it played at the American Cinematheque's Bleak Week Film Festival last year. The central mother-daughter conflict in these films is a mother who won't allow her daughter to separate from her and create her own identity, which results in abuse, drama, and heartache. So I want to thank my mom, Kate, my mommy dearest, and wish her a happy Mother's Day. Thank you for supporting me, encouraging me to be individual, unique, and independent. And to Professor Kuhn, I hope you and your mom worked your stuff out.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Gimme Three podcast, a series for cinephiles. And yesterday was Mother's Day, so we've been talking great mothers characters. And I have talked about A Woman Under the Influence and Claudine, two films from 1974. And Bella has talked about, what did you talk about? The first one?
Room.
Oh, yeah, Room.
And
the Academy Award winning Everything Everywhere All at Once. Jesus, easy for me to say. But now we are going to bring it on home, round out our Mother's Day episode with two more great films. So Bella, kick us off here with your third and final.
Yes, my third and final is Maggie Gyllenhaal's debut feature film. It's called The Lost Daughter, and it's a brutally honest exploration of motherhood and, and quite honestly, the unavoidable pain of mother's guilt, which I thought makes it the perfect film for our theme today. So, because being a mother is fucking hard. Not that I can say this from any kind of experience, but after watching all of these motherhood films back to back, if there's one thing I understand about being a mom, it's that it seems like an impossible job. And so I just wanted to highlight a film that acknowledges this and sheds light on how motherhood is also not always a beautiful experience for everyone, and that's okay. And I think the two mother figures in this film are really incredible characters and examples of this. So the film follows a middle-aged woman named Lita, brilliantly portrayed by Olivia Colman, my idol. I love her so much. And Lita is on a solo vacation in Greece, and it's immediately clear that she really values her solitude and her freedom, and she's very much looking forward to having just a very peaceful vacation. But of course, her plans for a tranquil holiday are immediately shattered when a massive, obnoxious, wealthy American family basically commandeers the beach, interrupting her peace of mind, and then ultimately sparking what I think is a truly anxiety-inducing chain of events. So, amidst all the chaos, Lita actually notices Nina, a young mother played by Dakota Johnson, who's waiting in the water on the beach with her daughter Elena, who is probably no older than like 5 years old.
Yeah.
And as Lita becomes more and more obsessed with Nina and her daughter over the course of her vacation, she finds herself plagued by haunting memories of her own difficult experience with early motherhood. And in these scenes, the incredible Jessie Buckley plays a young Lita in these unsettling memories that show us kind of the worst moments of Lita's experience with motherhood, but then also some of the best moments. So, Nick, what did you think of this film? Had you seen it, heard of it? I feel like this one was kind of like under the radar of 2021, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it did fly under the radar. We did watch it. Sonja and I watched it when it came out, and
oh, nice, yeah.
And I rewatched it and liked it the first time, and liked it even more the second time. Olivia Colman, what can you say? I mean, she's a force to be reckoned with, and Jessie Buckley, man, she is quickly becoming one of my favorite new. Young actors kind of, working today. I have a soft spot for her also because I think she kind of looks like Sonja. So like I just like,
oh my god, I can totally see that.
So yeah, I like have a little soft spot for her. But I just she's a great actress, and she picks really fascinating films and fascinating characters to play. So I like her. I like her trajectory as far as a career goes. But the film itself is like kind of like you were saying, like A Woman Under the Influence, kind of like feels like a horror film at times. You know, like this movie feels almost like, you know, a thriller or a horror movie. You're just like a little bit on edge. Not totally. You're like always like looking over your shoulder and slightly uncomfortable, and I think Maggie Gyllenhaal does a great job of playing with that tension and playing with that internal tension in
Yes.
Lita's character.
I love that you point that out because I totally agree. I feel like this movie has almost like kind of a haunting, dreamlike tone to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's just like she's kind of floating through time because she's like reliving all these memories. And there's a lot of anxiety around it. And yeah, like you said, it's even scary sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where she's walking through a forest and like this pine cone falls on her back and it like really gets her good.
Yeah.
Like, she's got like a big bruise and kind of cut there. And it's like this tiny little pine cone, but it's like genuinely such a freaky moment in the film. You're like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah.
So it has these moments. And I think having like these two feelings, like fear and anxiety, coursing throughout this film is really interesting because I think they're also a little bit of like the foundation of being a parent. Like it's absolutely terrifying and you're anxious all the time about doing the wrong thing and trying to figure out how to balance your life with your kid's life without like completely losing yourself. So I think the way this mood and tone is like woven into the narrative is a very clever base for like telling this story and for touching on these kind of fragile themes. I love Olivia Colman so much. I seriously idolize her. I just think she's seems like such a wonderful person, and she's just a brilliant actress. Like I always enjoy her work. So she killed it in this film. Jessie Buckley, I completely agree with you. I think she's wildly underrated right now. And I'm looking forward to see her like blow up and do other things. And then I know people hate on her a lot, but I think Dakota Johnson gave a damn good performance in this film. I think you can tell she has so much going on in her head. And I thought she played a very believable, exhausted mother, kind of just like on the brink of losing it a little bit.
No comment on that one, but
yeah, not everyone is a fan of her. I don't know why. I really like her, but I thought her character's relationship with Lita was really interesting as well, because Lita obviously becomes kind of obsessed with her, and you realize it's because she sees so much of herself in her.
Yeah.
And relates so much to like the daughter, the way that Nina's daughter Elena gives her a really hard time because right from the get-go she loses this doll. Well, first of all, let's talk about just like the lost daughter, I guess, which is a really interesting thing in this movie, because I was like, this movie is not at all what I expected just based off like the title. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be that like Lita had lost her daughter and never found her again, and she has to like live through that trauma or something. But basically there's like multiple examples of this. Like there's an example where Lita has a flashback to when she lost her eldest daughter Bianca at the beach, after Nina loses Elena at the beach, and like everyone is just running around looking for her. It's really, really a scary moment in the film because you don't know what's going to happen. And then the third layer of that is after they find her, the little girl has lost her doll, who she has like an extreme attachment to, and it ends up like throwing off their entire vacation because she's just like inconsolable, and she like is getting sick over it. She had like a fever one night. Like it's really, really devastating stuff that is clearly going to take a toll on her mother. But I don't know. I just thought like that aspect of this movie was so interesting, the way they like tackled it, because it's like, in a sense, they're all mothers, like Lita to her two daughters, Nina to Elena, and then even like Elena to her doll.
Right. And
when Lita, and then this is where also like we get to like learn so much about Lita's character, because they reveal that she ends up taking the doll.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird moment in the film.
Yeah, she's a little sick, this Lita.
Yeah, like it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
You're like, because she comes off as such a pleasant, sweet, like funny woman. And so when you see her open her bag with the doll, you're just like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on right now? Like, and she's seeing how much this, like, the loss of this doll is like ruining this family, basically. And she's still just like, whatever. Because it seems like she needs it more in this moment.
Right.
And Yeah, so like when Leda takes Elena's doll, she seems to be trying to almost like redeem herself by taking care of it and trying to make it new and shiny again, because she's having all these regrets of how she took care of her own young children in like the early stages of her motherhood. And there's this really interesting scene where she's trying to like get out all of this nasty, the doll is like waterlogged. It's like honestly really disgusting. And she's trying to like fix it up, and she's got these, it's like almost like she's got these maternal instincts to like clean the doll and care for her. But then this like really nasty worm comes out of the doll's mouth, and she's like repulsed by it, and she like throws the doll on the floor and walks out. And it just got me thinking about like how this could potentially be kind of like a metaphor for how she felt towards motherhood. Like she was kind of disgusted by it. Like it was not for her. And she can only take herself so far before she's like entirely put off by it and is just like done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of strong symbolism and visual cues like that in this film. And like you said, just playing with time and playing with the similarities of the many characters. It's a very, really, really strong piece. I think the other thing I find really interesting about it is, I think, she's in Greece on this vacation, right? And many films, like when you make a vacation movie in Greece, and they're always like focusing on like how beautiful it is, and they make it look like so gorgeous and blue.
Yeah.
And this movie, it kind of looks like shit, and everything, you feel uncomfortable like for the entire movie. So I thought that was a really strong choice to not make it like some gorgeous, vast landscape shots, no drone shots. Like, look at this beautiful vacation. It's just like, you're always just like, it feels kind of dirty and icky. And I'm sorry to our listeners in Greece. We love you. This is not us. This is Maggie Gyllenhaal thinks that your country is shit. We love it. But I thought it was a strong choice because it added to this consistent layer and level of just like unease.
I totally agree. I think that's such an interesting point. And like, I feel like that's amplified even more with just like the way you kind of learn more about this American family.
Right.
And like the locals are telling her to like watch out for them. Like they're bad people and they have like shady business going on. Like it's a very shady movie.
Yeah,
everything happening is suspicious.
Everything and everyone in this movie is shady.
Yeah, like it's a very uneasy movie to watch, but that's what I think also makes it so captivating. Because you're just trying to, it's like, I would say it's a mystery in a way.
Yeah, totally.
And when you realize the mystery of it is just her confronting this guilt and like coming to terms with it, with how she raised her children, I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
a beautiful ending.
Yeah. I also want to talk about, I think there are so many incredible scenes in this movie that really brilliantly highlights just like how frustrating it is to have a certain pressure or expectations placed on you of like being a good mother and specifically enjoying motherhood. Like it acknowledges that this is not the same experience for everyone, and that it's like actually impractical and hurtful to assume that all mothers have like a beautiful, perfect experience with it. And it's also just straight up inaccurate as well.
They really put us through it, huh? I thought you said you were pregnant with your first.
I am. What were your daughters like when they were little? Were they like this willful little creature?
Honestly, I can't remember much, actually.
No, you can't forget anything about your own children.
Is that your experience?
I just mean, did your daughters give you a hard time when they were little?
I just don't remember.
You okay?
She doesn't remember.
I was very tired. So, excuse me.
Or like every woman has a maternal instinct.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and there's just this, it's like a very common experience because there's just this culture around pregnancy and parenthood and women and maternal instincts and all that I think leans towards like toxic positivity without taking into account just how difficult it can be. And like one scene I love that I think really shows this is when one of the American family members comes over. Her name is Callie, and she's pregnant, and she's like pressuring Lita to talk more about her children, and you can tell that she's like very uncomfortable. And Callie makes this like really rude, intrusive comment. She says, maybe being away from your girls is what's making you anxious. And I think Lita just has such a great like comeback line. She's like, yeah, well, you'll see. Children are a crushing responsibility.
Yeah.
And then she's like, happy birthday, and walks away. And I just love that scene so much because it's like, it's so real. Like, so many people are like, have those reactions like Callie. And I love that she like reality checked her and was like, this is not the situation for everyone. And like, you should not be like inserting your own opinions on it, on like my own situation, if that makes sense. So I really liked that scene. And yeah, I would say this movie is kind of just like a bad trip through mother's guilt. That's what this movie is like. But at the same time, it's also beautiful and honest, and I think hopeful. Obviously, we see that she has mended her relationship with her children, and so by the end of it, so I thought there was some like hopeful undertones to it, which was nice to see amidst all the like chaos,
amidst all the bleak
yes,
depression.
Exactly.
We are losing so many mother listeners on this episode. It's ridiculous.
I know.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
I mean, I think it's good to highlight this type of stuff because
I do too.
It does make you just feel so grateful as well. You know, you're just like, this is why we have Mother's Day.
Exactly.
The shit is difficult. I would recommend it. I personally really like it. I think it's really underrated. It's cool to see Maggie Gyllenhaal try out directing as well. I thought she killed it for a first feature.
Strong debut, very strong, audacious debut.
And she did get lucky with Olivia and Jesse as well, because I think they could just turn anything into gold. Basically, they're so talented. But yeah, any final thoughts on The Lost Daughter?
The score kicks ass.
Oh my God. Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up because I almost forgot. I like listen to it all the time. It's so good. That intro of her like driving into Greece and the music and even the ending. Oh man, it's so good.
Score kicks ass.
Yeah. Also shout out Paul Mescal because I love him. This was like the first movie I saw him in.
Nice.
But anyways, if you guys are interested in watching The Lost Daughter, I believe, it's streaming on Netflix right now as well. So definitely check it out. And I'm really excited to hear what you guys think of that one as well.
And that brings us to our last film of the day, our last Mother's Day film. I
think it's a good one to end on. Sorry.
It's a little bit more lighthearted.
And you ruined your life. And you broke my heart.
Riding in Cars with Boys, directed by Penny Marshall, the great Penny Marshall. And we come into a small town, and I believe they're in upstate New York or something, where we meet Beverly. And we're in the mid 60s, I believe. And we see her as a girl. We see her as a teenager. And Beverly, who's played by Drew Barrymore, is smart as a whip. She's a brilliant writer. She wants to go to NYU. She's a bit of a daddy's girl. She rides in the car with her pop, and they sing that song, All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers, which is a fitting song because Beverly is a dreamer. She's such a dreamer, this Beverly.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, she's a good kid. Totally infatuated with boys, like a lot of high school girls. And she's got her best friend, Faye, who's played by the late, great Brittany Murphy. And it seems like they've just got the whole world ahead of them. They've got all their life all planned out and figured out. That is until old Beverly gets pregnant as a high school student, and Beverly's world is turned upside down, especially because the baby daddy is a total fucking dingbat. And her father, who, you know, was once the apple of his eye, is now totally disgusted and heartbroken by this news, and her dreams are crushed. So we follow Beverly as she tries to navigate this life, raising a man, trying to better herself, better her life, get her degree, go into college, while having to raise this kid and while dealing with a husband who has intense addiction issues. And the film kind of starts as innocent, comedic, coming-of-age romp, very like Drew Barrymore, early aughts, late 90s movie. It's like, we're having fun. And then much like life and much like the story in this, like, shit gets real, and it gets real real fast. Bella, had you seen Riding in Cars with Boys before?
I had never seen Riding in Cars with Boys, and I'm so happy you chose it because it was so much fun to watch. I love Drew Barrymore, and I love Brittany Murphy, and I love Steve Zahn and Lauren Bracco. So this cast is just fantastic.
Yes, that cast. James Woods, Rosie Perez.
Oh my god. Yeah. Gilbert. Oh yeah. When Rosie Perez showed up, I was like, what? But yeah, I think you nailed it. I love the progression of this film. It was really fun to see Drew start out as like a 15-year-old, I think, and then end as like a middle-aged woman. And I was really shocked at just the like tone switch. I was like, oh my god, this movie's so fucking funny. Like, this is awesome. And then by the end of it, I was like, oh my god, this is devastating. I really enjoyed it. I loved the humor. I thought there were so many funny moments. That's like pretty much all I wrote down.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, Penny Marshall's great at balancing that comedy and that drama. She does it frequently in her films, and you know, like, this movie is not without its flaws, but I love it. I loved it when it came out. I'm a sucker for Drew Barrymore. I'm a sucker for Penny Marshall.
Yes.
I was legitimately in love with Brittany Murphy when this movie came out.
Oh, she's so cute.
And I mean, like, Drew Barrymore and Brittany Murphy, not only do they have amazing chemistry together, like, you just love them.
I wanted
as best
more.
friends. Yeah. But they also may be the only two actresses ever to believably pull off portraying teenagers and like you said, like mid-30s in the same movie. Like, Drew Barrymore pulls off being 15.
I don't know how. I was like, this is insane. This is crazy.
But I love her relationship with her son, Jason, and it feels so real. Because it's not always great, you know, like, but she is, in my opinion, a great mom, because you see her work her ass off to survive and always try and move up in the world and move up for her life and her son's life. And, you know, not every decision she makes turns out right, but she's fighting. She's always fighting. And Barrymore's performance is, I think, a little underrated because, again, she does a span of 20 years, pulls that off. She pulls off the comedy. She pulls off like deep drama, but she also like has this great relationship with her son and this great chemistry with her son. And she does it with like 3 or 4 different actors portraying her son. Cause like we see him as like a little baby, a little kid, like
that's right,
preteen, and then as an adult. So you see her have this relationship grow and always stay like consistent. It always feels like she's a mom of the same person, even though she's acting as the mom for 5 different dudes.
I like, now hearing you say it, I'm like, I low-key didn't even like think about the fact that those were like different actors. Like, I really just believed they were growing up together. I only put it together once I saw little baby Logan Lerman, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, no way. Yeah, I think you nailed it. Like she killed this role. I love her. She's so great. And she was so great with like the humor in this. And I love how it's kind of like a whole bunch of different type of humor. Like there's like dark humor, but then also just like kind of slapstick almost. Like I literally had to rewind and rewatch the scene when when they get married, when I guess her husband is like carrying her into the house he got her and she like planks.
Yeah.
It's like a board.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what? How do you think of that shit? It was so funny. And then even just like her falling down, like trying to
fall down the stairs.
Yeah. That was so funny. I really, really enjoyed all those like moments of hilarity. Yeah, this is a great, and you know what's actually really funny is this movie, maybe I was just like kind of tired when I watched it, but it kind of tricked me in a way. Like in the beginning, when I thought that like when she picks up her son, I was like, oh, that's her boyfriend.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what they're going for. They want you to think that because even one of the characters says like, "Oh, is that your girl right there?" And she's like, that's my mom. You know? And
I was like, what? Yeah, you like have that moment of realization with the characters in the movie. And it was just funny because like up until that point, I thought it was going to be Teresa, her mother, was like the mother character that you picked. Because I didn't read anything about this movie.
Oh,
so I
cool.
went into it like totally blind.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun because I was just like, oh, like I love Lorraine Bracco. I can't say her.
Lorraine
I don't know
Bracco.
how to exactly. Yeah, I was like, I love her so much. Big Sopranos fan and all that. And so I was like, oh, great. She's going to be awesome. And then I was like, oh, holy shit. Drew. It's Drew. Yeah. She's the mother.
And she is awesome.
So
Lorraine Bracco really is awesome. You have like two great mother figures in this. And Brittany Murphy's another strong
mother she's another mother in it.
It's a movie about motherhood. And
it really is.
And I like that a lot. And like you said, I kind of dig that it's tonally all over the place. Because there's a lot of
it's fun
about it, but I think it's just like that's life. Like it's riddled. You're following somebody for a good chunk of their life, and it is riddled with incredible highs, intense plummeting lows, and laughs in between. And which is why I love that ending, because you have after a hellacious day, you have Beverly's father picking her up, and what do they do? Despite their rough and tattered relationship, they go back to singing that song that they used to sing when Beverly was the dreamer. I thought that was like a really sweet, tender way to close out the film.
I totally agree. It makes me want to read the memoir that it's based on.
Yes, it is. It is based off of a memoir about real life Beverly. So that is also available.
I was so shocked to hear that. It's so cool. It's awesome that she like told her story too, because it's one that so many people experience. Like you said too, like I can totally understand why people have criticism about the tone shift and that stuff, but I think it made sense in terms of like the different stages and like ages of her life. Yeah. Like in a way, like because when her and Faye are both like pregnant, that shit was hilarious. Yeah. Like the way they act about it is so funny.
Yeah, they're like,
and
they're like, yeah, we're pregnant together. It's gonna be great. It's like,
it's like, oh, you have no idea what's about to happen. Yeah, or even like when Bev's water breaks, like her husband's like, "Oh, this is so gross."
Yeah.
Or she's like, "This is so gross," and he's like, "Is that supposed to happen?" Like, just an absolute bozo about to have a baby.
In the hospital, he's like, "I'm sorry, I broke your water."
yeah. It's like I'll never do it again. It's so funny. But yeah, so I think those moments are so great. And then it makes so much sense that as she does become more like accustomed to motherhood, that it like still gets harder,
Mhm.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, even though she's like, it's like right when you've got it figured out, another stage comes
Right.
and you're just like, shit, now I have to reanalyze everything.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought it was very realistic in that way and just a lot of fun. This is like another movie that I would love to rewatch, I think.
It's very rewatchable, and I say that because I've watched it so many times. This is actually I think this came out in like 2001. So this was one of the first DVDs my mom and I bought when we got our first DVD player.
Oh,
so
no
we
way.
actually watched. This is another movie that my mom and I watched together quite a bit. Riding in Cars
I
with
love
Boys
that.
because also raised by a single mom, so
Yeah.
I think we related a lot to it, and yeah, it was just
I love
like
that.
it's rewatchable. There's lots to love. Also a kick-ass soundtrack.
Oh my God, yeah, 100%.
But if you guys want to check it out, Riding in Cars with Boys by the great Penny Marshall, it is available on demand wherever you rent your digital films, or you can check it out at one of your local video stores. Highly recommend it. Well, Bella, I think we should commit right now to next year. We'll do Happy Mother's Day. How about that one?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's probably a good idea.
These were amazing films, though. I'm glad you picked all the ones you picked. I'm glad I picked all the ones I picked because they are all tremendous films. So I regret nothing.
Yeah, me too. Even though it was a very intense week of movie watching. And I don't know if I'm ever going to have kids now. But other than that, super fun.
For all the mothers out there that are listening to this and upset with us, I just want to say, if you are the mother of a teenage daughter, perhaps you play our episode for your teenage daughter, and that will keep them off the old dick for a little bit.
Have your teenagers watch these movies and they'll be nice to you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh shit.
Right.
Oh man. Well, yeah, that's a wrap on our Great Mother Characters episode. Shout out Mabel, shout out Evelyn, Joy, Claudine, Bev, Faye, Lita, and Nina. It's a funny rhyme.
Yeah.
We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And once again, thank you so much for listening. If you guys love the Gimme Three podcast and you want to support the show and access some more bonus content as well, you can subscribe to our Patreon for a mere $5 a month. We've got a whole bunch of exciting bonus content there. We just posted our last week we posted our March-April discoveries, which is a spoiler-free episode with 6 movie recommendations from us. So if any of that interests you, you can sign up by scrolling down to our episode description and clicking the link that says support the show. There's also a Patreon link in there as well. You can also find us on Instagram at Gimme Three Podcast, GIMME spell out 3 podcast, Gimme Three Podcast. So yeah, head on over there. Let us know what you guys think of these 6 films that we talked about today. While you're there, feel free to give us a follow. And also stay tuned for a very important poll that we have coming out on our story this week. Multiple polls. We also have an exciting new feature where you guys can actually text us. If you want to let us know your thoughts on the podcast, or if you have any themes or movie recommendations in mind, we would love to hear them.
Same thing. If you go to the episode description, on the top of the episodes, there is a link that says, send us a text message.
There you go.
Yeah, send us a text message. You click on that link and it will, you can send us any notes you have. You can send us your thoughts. You can tell us what you love. Tell us what you don't love. You can yell at me for not being absolutely enamored with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'll take it. And you can give us recommendations.
Alrighty. Do you want to tell our listeners where they can find you on the socials?
Yes, you can find me on Letterboxd at Nicholas Ibarra, on Instagram at Nicholas Ibarra, and on Letterboxd and on Twitter, also known as X, at Nicholas P. Ibarra, and the P stands for pontification.
Ooh, I like that one. And you guys can find me on Instagram at Portrait of a Cinephile, or on Letterboxd at BFstratus. That's just B and then my last name, Fstratus. So anyways, thank you so much for joining us on the Gimme Three podcast today, and we'll see you guys at the movies.